Coming up on Guys Talking Sports, we talk about Mark Jackson's comments about the Golden State Warriors and where the NBA is going as far as the evolution is of the NBA and the offense and defense. We're also going to talk about the NFL playoffs that's going to get started this weekend and our predictions of who's going to win the first round of the NFL playoffs. My guest host Earl Ross and Adrian Catwell joins me right now on Guys Talking Sports. Everybody, this is Guys Talking Sports. Your host Al Qualls, getting ready for another edition of Guys Talking Sports. What's going on, everybody out there? All the YouTube subscribers, thank you very much for subscribing and checking us out. With me, I got my fellas, my usual fellas as usual, James Ross and Adrian Catwell. So what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
All good. You can't see me with my vino this time around, but trust me, I have a glass.
Yeah, I guess for myself, I'm living large and in charge. So.
Living large and in charge. I like that. All right. So we're going to get into it. We started talking about this discussion, and it's a couple of weeks back, and I know we're kind of behind on it, but I figured it's a good way to jump right into it. So, of course, we're going to start off with Mark Jackson's comments in regards to Steph Curry and how he's saying that it's hindering the game. We've been talking. I guess we've been talking about it at the beginning before this show started. So again, I just want to get your guys' takes on that in regards to how you feel about what Mark Jackson said about Steph Curry and his former team.
Well, I'm thinking Mark Jackson is not totally wrong. But I guess it almost comes along like a little butthurt just because of he was the coach and, he was this one season removed from winning the NBA championship. I think he might have won it if he was still there, possibly. But, he says that, but he's not wrong in a sense because I guess when we were younger, we were idolizing Jordan and Bird, Magic, because that's who we saw coming up. And the generation, well, not generation, but the kids like 30 and younger or whatever were idolizing Kobe and AI, and you had your slashers, you had your jump shooters, but Steph is this an anomaly in a sense where he's just his three is so lethal, so nasty that he could hit it from anywhere. He's just taking threes, and then I guess he's saying that the kids aren't developing any other aspects of the game. So I guess it's not wrong, but it's not 100% right either.
Yeah, I think it cuts both ways. I think, you look at things now, a lot of the rules changes, is very, offensively, for the offensive-minded players, and allows you not to really touch a player, not to really, play too much defense on it, like, back, in the 80s and early 90s. To a certain degree, and I think right now it's just a more offensive-minded league. So of course, guys like Steph Curry are going to, have the opportunity to just, shoot the rock from wherever and not drive the lane. And then, you look back how, like you said, like when we was watching, Magic, and he was just going to the lane. You had a bunch of players like the next 10 years. Everybody wanted to, go to the lane and dunk the rock and be like Jordan. I don't think he's wrong. I get. There are some aspects of the game which might not be developed. Everyone's going to jack up shots, but you could say the same thing for a lot of players that came up behind Jordan. Kobe for one thing, Allen Iverson, Tracy McGrady. I can go on and on about the same guys that patterned their games to a degree after Jordan. And basically it's more about taking somebody off the dribble and dunking, and not really, the mid-range shot became almost a thing of the past, for a little bit.
Yeah, but there are also guys out there growing up who wanted to be the next Kareem Abdul-Jabbar too, who wanted to be the next Bill Russell or Walton. There were dudes who were 7 foot tall who wanted to play in the post. Like those jokers are like really non-existent now. Look at the kid you were just talking offline, Ben Simmons from LSU. I mean, the Joker is a monster. He's like, what, 6'8"? But all he does is slash and go to the basket. Like, I don't even know if he has a post game. Like, nobody wants to develop a post. They either want to be slashers or they want to jack up threes. And even, it's just crazy. I mean, like, I don't know if Dirk revolutionized the way a big man's supposed to play because, you know, he's savvy. He can still take you down in the post and take you off the dribble and stuff like that, but he can also pull up and hit threes too. So I don't know. It's just weird. It's just like, you know, nobody wants to be a big anymore. Everybody just wants to be a shooter.
Well, you have to understand, like, so many people have changed their whole style now, like you said, because the NBA style has completely changed. Where it used to be so physical down in the post, you know, people were prepared to become more physical when it comes to posting. But now you see the changing of the guard from post players to shooters, and you see how that's starting to revolutionize. You know, matter of fact, it went from post players to slashers to shooters. So now it's a jump shooting league. So, you know, like the post players are figuring, for me to stay in the league, you know, I have to be able to knock down a jump shot. And you see, like you said before, it was times where it was physical, where now, you know, you have centers. You don't even have like a true center that posts up. You have like power forwards playing the actual center position because of their offensive game and how well they can shoot. And I mean, I pretty much started off when Chris Bosh was playing center with the Miami Heat, and you saw the evolution of those small ball teams starting to play small ball to where it is now. And now you see how, with Steph Curry, how they transition that to a jump shooting team. It was times where Andrew Bogut used to be, you know, they needed him in the game, but now they don't even need him in the game as much, especially because he's a typical post player for the Warriors, and now you don't see him in the game as much because they rather prefer to people that shoot jumpers all the time. So it is that transition. And to be honest, as far as Mark Jackson's comments is concerned, I mean, like you said, it could be a little bit of saltiness because of what the organization did for him. But I think he has, to be honest, I could understand his point. I can understand what he's saying because you do see it happening. And I wouldn't be surprised if other people would agree to his position at this point.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, but how many teams in the league right now that come to mind that run that style of offense? I would, because we want to say that Golden State runs like a real true motion ISO type of offense where, you know, a lot of cutting and a lot of picks and screens and opening up shooters. But I mean, they ran those sort of offenses back in the day too. And I mean, Pat Ewing, everybody know Pat was lethal in the post, but Pat would sit there and hit an 18-footer in your eye like it was nothing. I mean, I think the reason why Bogut is not in the game because he's just not very fleet of foot.
Yeah, no, but you also gotta understand, like I mean, like the reason why Patrick Ewing and, you know, like with the Knicks and all of them, yeah, he could hit an 18-foot jumper, but majority of that team couldn't. So, like, you know, they didn't have a solid shooting team. Let's just, you know, they didn't have a solid shooting team. Their whole mindset was all play physical defense. Like, this is a rare occasion where you have like both your point guard and shooting guard can shoot the lights out. You don't have to worry about them. You know, majority of the times they're hitting shots. And now you have their small forwards getting in the mix, like Harrison Barnes and Adrian and Andre Iguodala. About to say Adrian, Andre Iguodala. But you see, like, you don't have. It'd be different if one person was shooting the lights out, like i.e. how Atlanta was doing with Kyle Korver. But you have the whole team that's pretty much shooting the lights out, which is very rare, and which is why it's working for them. And unfortunately, you're going to see teams thinking that if they could do it, my team should be able to do it mindset too. And it may work for some, and it may not work for others. But I do agree. I do say this though. Um, the evolution of what Steph Curry is doing is help bringing back basketball into a point where, and this is where I kind of agree and disagree, is bringing, because a lot of people wouldn't worry about shooting a 3-point shot. They would try to drive it to the basket. And to a point where people will probably stop focusing on shooting jumpers all the time and taking it to the hole majority of the time. And it works for some people and it doesn't work for others. But it helps bring a sense of balance, I think, to where people that know they can't shoot need to stay in the post or drive to the lane. And those who believe that they can shoot, should probably practice a little bit more to get to that point where they could start shooting the lights out. So.
Yeah, I think you have to really to judge whether Golden State Warriors style of play or even Steph Curry style of play is really revolutionizing the game. I think you kind of have to look, not just this year, but you're looking at these past 2 years almost in the bubble. But you have to look at the NBA over the next couple of years and see if more teams are going to drive their offense to be more of for all intents and purposes, a run and gun jump shooting team. I mean, we saw that way back in the day with with the run and gun offense with the old Golden State Warriors. So I mean, that faded out because you still had a more defensive minded league, and then David Stern tweaked the NBA to make it more offensively minded and give more credence to your shooting guards and your off guards and your point guards. So I mean, right now I guess we may be in like a turn or a flow of how the NBA offense is going to be. Now, 3 or 4 years down from now, you have a Golden State Warriors, then 5 or 6 of the teams playing that same type of basketball, shooting the lights out. Then I think I won't say he's revolutionizing the game, but I think he might be just introducing a new era of how offense is going to be played. But I think everybody is jumping a little bit too much of saying that, well, he's changing the game for a certain way, or he's revolutionizing. I was like, you have to let's see how things progress. And also on the defensive side, you're going to have to see if more teams are going to start looking at more wing-spanned type, players to play more defense in the perimeter, because now you can't just keep all you guys in the box. You got to bring somebody out in that arc and force those guys, to off dribble, go to the lane. I mean, Steph Curry can, drive and shoot. Klay Thompson is more of a, catch and shoot. He can't really create his own shots all the time. So I guess we kind of have to see over the next couple of years how it goes. Now, if they win, they go back to back, then I think a lot of people are going to really start taking notes. But if they falter in the Western Conference Finals, which I think they might against San Antonio, but that's a different conversation for a different day, then it's going to be like lightning in a bottle for a year and a half.
Well, my thing is, you got two of the purest shooters in the NBA in one squad, and shooters like that in the NBA are, you probably can count on both your hands pure shooters that can go out there and consistently knock down Jays regardless of situations. And it's probably a handful in the league, but these kids coming out of high school or going to, coming out, doing 1 year of college, don't progress those type of skill sets where they can sit there and knock down a J consistently. So even though if Steph and pretty boy, I can't think of his name now, he's running me.
Klay Thompson.
Yeah, there we go. Pretty boy. If, they may have a pretty legitimate run, but then when do you think another solid shooter like that is going to come out of the league? come out of college. Because none of these jokers want to stay in college long enough to develop a decent game to sit there and could knock down consistent J's.
Well, there's a couple of rookies that's out there now that's are doing that same type of thing where they're just becoming a knockdown shooter. Forgot the person that's with Phoenix right now, but he's definitely a knockdown shooter. as well as R.J. Hunter from Boston. They're both rookies, even though they're not on the same team. But there are some knockdown shooters that I think teams are going to start looking at.
And how many teams are in the NBA?
Okay, yes, I see what you're saying. No, I agree with what you're saying. I'm saying like, because there's not enough of the pure shooters that's out there. Especially, but it's rare. It's rare. So to have them on the same team is even more rare than usual. Like,
so then my thing would be, if I'm a team, and the type of offense that they run a lot of motion, they run a lot of screens, they like to run off a lot of different things. Because believe it or not, I'm a NBA Live, though nobody plays that game, but I love it. When I play Golden State, I can't defend them one-on-one or man because they do so much cutting and so much passing. So I'm thinking, in the NBA, if I were a coach and I had to play Golden State, how does one defend against such great shooters? I mean, do you run zone and then you dare them to? But then, if you go man, you can't keep up with them either. So it's like, how do you defend?
Well, number one, well, with the zone, that's not going to work at all because not with a pure shooting team. That's just a recipe for disaster waiting to happen, especially how good they shoot. The best thing that you could do, and this is just me, the best thing I would do is put my best player against those type of shooters. And just everybody else just has to be aggressive on defense, or at least physical on defense. To be honest, that was the recipe for what the Bucks did to give them their first loss. So, at this point, the game plan, if you have the defensive weapons to play man, then by all means do it. But the problem is that so many people have their own schemes, and there, a certain amount of players that can actually do the job to actually defeat them. So it takes the right team with the right players and the right system for it to happen. Unfortunately, teams, knowing this, sometimes end up playing to Golden State's advantages, whether it's playing small ball with them or whatever the case may be, and it may be to Golden State's advantage. Like you said, they run screens like it ain't nobody's business, and motion plays. They come off the screens, and then there's times when if like Curry or Thompson is on fire, they'll just throw it up with with people in front of them and still make it in. So, it's depending on how the coaches scheme. Then, to be honest, coaches nowadays, you would think that they have a blueprint by now how to defeat them, and it's just not happening that way.
Yeah, I think you really have to be a team that's deep, and you have to be really a team that is athletic, and you gotta body them up. You're gonna get killed sometimes, but you gotta body them. You gotta put some heat on them. You're gonna have to take some fouls, but make that game uncomfortable as heck for them. Don't let them get their sweet spots. They're running screens. Make them pay for it. You're gonna have to get a couple of fouls here or there. You make it chippy. You make it very tough for them, and you might even have to get under their skin a little bit. But you have to get them out of their comforts, and you can't just let them play their game as is. You gotta body them up a little bit.
Yes, and you have to be. And for the life of me, I don't. And to be honest, I gotta say this: Draymond Green should definitely be in the MVP running.
Oh
because if it's not for Draymond Green, they would not be in the position that they are right now.
Right. My question would be if a Steph went down or Klay Thompson went down, who is more valuable, Steph or Klay? Like, who can they lose and still win?
Actually, you could get by without Klay. I don't think you can get by without Klay in a 7-game series.
I have to disagree with you on that one because Klay Thompson didn't show up I think, in a couple of games of the finals, and they still won. To be honest, I would if Steph is not there, he's. I mean, even if the Warriors play it close, Steph is the closer for them. If he's not there to close it out, I would. That would significantly that would change their whole play dramatically. Now, like you said, if Klay Thompson's not there, they have fill-ins, whether it's Harrison Barnes or Iguodala coming off the bench to play the starting role, or better yet, even Sean Livingston. Those type of they do have fit-ins, but without Curry shooting and penetration, I think that would be it would make the Warriors seem average. A little more above average, I should say.
If I had to go with them straight up on a 7-game series, I would try to do my best. I was like, I would let Draymond Green be the one to beat me.
He's been doing such.
Sorry, I'm gonna phrase it back. No, I would try to do my best to take Draymond Green out because he's really like the spark plug that's really been, pushing his team like for the most part the first quarter of the season.
Mm-hmm.
If you put some bodies in him and take him out, then you're going to have to force maybe Klay Thompson to do a little bit more. Steph Curry's going to get his regardless, but then you're going to have to pull out Klay Thompson. You have to pull out Sean Livingston, Iguodala, and I think you force some other pieces to get you instead of the core three where it's, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, and Curry. Curry's going to get his. Klay will get his every other night. But I would clamp down on the man that's really doing the most work, Draymond Green.
And you know what? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, so I will put my emphasis on him and force somebody else to be that third person.
And you know what though? What makes the Warriors so good is the fact that technically they have one of the best, not just the best backcourt. To be honest, they do have the best backcourt at this point. But they also have the best not 3 guard, but the best in point guard, shooting guard, and small forward. Like when you think about it, like not even small forward because Draymond Green plays power forward now, but they have the best in regards to offensive-minded players. Like it's really you could rank Steph Curry being one of the best point guards in the league. All right, Klay Thompson is up there in the best shooting guard position. You can argue with that. Small forward position, whether it's Iguodala or Harrison Barnes, you still get quality players out of them. You got Draymond Green, who's starting to become even better than what he was last year. As far as offensive, and as far as Bogut and whoever's playing center, all they have to do is just rebound and defend the paint. I mean, you really the Warriors have the best team overall. Like there's not even an argument there. Before I would give argument to like the Clippers, but that fell off completely.
Yeah, that's a disaster over there.
Yeah, it is. It's a complete disaster. So, I mean, right now, with what the Warriors is doing, it's working for the league. And it's different from what, the other teams are doing, but it works for them. And it shows how well it's working for them because of the championships. And it's just a matter of time. Like you said, the Spurs were definitely going to give them a run. But other than those two, I really don't see who else coming out the West. So...
That's just so Spurs and Golden State, and that's it.
As far as the West is concerned,
I would say that too. I mean, Golden State. I think the Spurs are controlled enough and disciplined enough, to kind of stay on their assignments and try to, keep pace with them. But like I said, outside of the Spurs, I don't know who else.
But we all started with this Mark Jackson comment, so let's getting back to that Mark Jackson. Like you said, I understand what he's saying. I can defend both sides of it. I understand both sides of it. I kind of wish it was someone other than him because, like you said, it makes it look like sour grapes. But at the end of the day, it's his decision. I mean, his opinion. Whether or not it's really a big issue, I don't really think it is. But again, it is his opinion in that regards, and we'll see how it plays out and see if it worked. If it works for the Warriors down the road, or if it is really just a flash in the pan, like he's thinking as far as hurting the league. So we'll see how that goes down the road.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious to see how the NBA will continue to evolve. I mean, will you see more Steph-like type players in the league, or will you continue to see your slashers who need to develop a mid-range game but come into the league as primary slashers and things of that nature?
Yeah, like I said, it's all going to depend on if Golden State Warriors, win another title.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so enough with the Mark Jackson and the Warriors for now. Of course, we're going to get into a little bit of, what's left. We're going to get into the NBA, NFL playoffs. The playoffs is now set and ready to go. Real quick, we had some firings, of course, this week also as well. So I just want to get your take about, before we get into the playoffs in general, any thoughts about the firings that happened at the
Well, I'm a 49er fan, and I can't say that. I don't know. I can't really grade Tom Sula. A lot of turnover there in Niner country, and when you have all those type of retirees, people leaving, however, losing so much that we lost on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. He was put in a very tough position from the jump. So, him winning 5 games was even more than I thought he would win. So, so with that being said, I'm shocked that Indianapolis and San Diego kept their coaches.
Oh, yeah.
But not so much shocked about everything else. I mean, these owners, they don't even give, if a quarterback can't get more than 2 years to try to prove themselves, I'm surprised owners get as long as they do. So, I'm not owners, excuse me, coaches. So, at least in college, they'll give you 4 years. You can fire your offensive and defensive coordinators to see if you can kind of jumpstart things. In NFL, man, they give you 2 years. If the 2 years ain't working, you're gone.
Yeah, I agree. I think I wasn't too surprised with a lot of the firings. I think a lot of people that left was expected. I was a little bit surprised about the 49ers giving the guy just 1 year, being what he had to work with. I mean, the cupboard was, drastically bare by the time he got there.
Right.
And Kaepernick, after Harbaugh left, he just regressed terribly. So, I thought they would have given him a little bit more time to kind of get his own players in there, right the ship. As a Giants fan, Tom Coughlin's, retiring wasn't a shock. I think it was coming. I think everybody knew it. I think myself, per se, probably midway through the season, I thought that it was probably going to come down that route. Only a Super Bowl run would have saved him. I think even after that, he probably would have still, stepped down. But I think really Chuck Pagano, I thought he was going to be gone.
Yeah, I heard all the beef that was going on in the organization and all that crap.
Yeah, him and the owner was having beef, and Jim Irsay was just all the bad reports coming out about their relationship, only to come to find out that, oh, wait a second, you're going to keep him 2 more years and the GM? I thought he was ready to cut him. So I'm like, how could you be? Why would you want to coach a team where the owner wants to act like he's the coach? He's not Jerry Jones.
Right.
And unless you're going to get a yes man like Jerry Jones has with his coach, I mean, then you can do whatever you want because you own the team. But I was shocked that he actually kept him. I thought that was going to be Splitsville, but I guess for continuity's sake, he can get some more offensive linemen so they can block for luck, so he don't get pounded like he did this year. I guess he wanted to try to keep things going. So we'll see how that all turns out. But no surprises. I'm surprised it's not a few more, actually. But it's that is they call it Black Monday.
Right.
I mean, it started week before. I was just surprised that Eagles just told Chip Kelly just to go and don't come back. I mean, the man had one game left. You couldn't even let him ride that one game out. He just said, "No, you're done, and that's it. Get out of here." Then they're going to try to make the reports that they wanted to jump on the coach's search early. A lot of the coaches that people will be looking at are playing in the playoffs right now. You can't talk to them. You can't talk to anybody until after the season of Super Bowl is over. Then you can officially talk to people, even though we know unofficially feelers are out all over the place. But still, they should have given him one game. But the way things were going in Philly and everybody was clapping their hands when he left, I'm like, yeah, but you're the same team that was sitting there singing his praises a year ago when they gave you 10-2 seasons.
Well, he screwed himself. Like they say when you go to a casino, you bet big or you go home. You bet big, you win big. Well, if you bet big and you lose terribly. And he bet on his system working more so than the personnel in the system. In college, that works great because if you're a college team and you're winning a lot, the best talent in high school will come to your school and continue your run at winning in the college level, a high priority. But in the pros, out of all those kids who go to D1 schools, less than 1% get drafted?
Yeah.
So now you're saying this is the cream of the crop that's in the NFL. And when you have identified stars that are doing work, you just can't give them away. You gotta suck it up and deal with the talent that you have. And Chip thought that, I can give up Deshaun, no big deal. I can find receivers who can catch the ball. Doesn't always work that way. I can give up McCoy. I'll just bring in a couple other running backs. Doesn't always work that way. He had the talent and he squandered it away, and by him doing that, and he just knew that his system was more than the players, and now he's learning. I think he got humbled by this, that if he has opportunity to go to a different team, that he will take the stars that he has and mold what he has around those stars and try to bring in additional stars. Like, personally, as a 49er fan, I think bringing in Chip Kelly would be awesome offensively because he has some pretty dynamic stars as far as I think Kaepernick is the type of QB that he wants. You got some young stud running backs. The wide receiving core, Bolden is old, but Torrey Smith is still young. You got some other young receivers. Offensive line is serviceable. You just got to find somebody with a defensive-minded type of coach. It could be all right, but I think he'd give him a shot. It's just that he can't be the GM. He's like, look, you got to take this talent. I'll try to bring in better talent, but we're not going to just give our talent away because you think you can do better on your own. That's just not going to happen. If he can realize that, I think he'll be a successful coach in the NFL.
Yeah, well, he did it to himself. I mean, the owner, Jim, the owner did it to himself. You gave him the power. So, I mean, it didn't work out. So now you got to take some onus as well. I mean, he put the onus almost squarely on Chip. I'm like, dude, you agreed to it.
No, I think the owner was sold a bill of goods based on the first 2 10 and 6 seasons. And he saw the system, he saw it work, and Chip probably was like, "Look, dude, I can do this. I can clear some money off the books. I can get jokers in here to run this offense. Give me the opportunity." And the dude was like, "Oh man, we're putting up points. We're doing 30 some odd points a game, running 80 plays a game, blah 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 blah. Yeah." And then what happened?
Nah, I really believe the whole thing. To be honest, I wouldn't have. I mean, I knew that, like Earl said, that the firing before the last week of the game is. I mean, that's really telling. I kind of agree with what you're saying. But like you said, he put everything on himself to do to do what he put everything on himself this year, and basically he crumbled. He crumbled, and I think it was more of the relationship he had with his players. I think that really what did him in. When you have people behind, other players that left the organization is talking about you, not anybody else, but Chip Kelly. When you have when you have your star running back going to the owner to talk with the owner about about this whole ordeal, that is telling. I mean, I think the relationship. Me personally, I think it was the relationship between Chip Kelly and his players. I think the lack of communication or the lack of trust there was with the team. I think that's what ultimately did him in. I probably would have believed the fact that the owners probably would have gave him another chance if everything was good with the relationship with the players. But I think that the relationship with the players was ultimately his demise, because there was definitely no going to bat for him, no saying Chip Kelly is our coach, we'll stick with him, whatever he says go. You ain't hear none of that with the Eagles players. No. None of that. You see so many teams now, like the Giants, how they always stick up for Coughlin, or even though he quote unquote was retired. But the thing I'm saying is that there was no defense for Chip Kelly, and I think that ultimately was his demise. I think the players got to the owners, was like, look, this is not working out. This coach needs to go. We need something new. Something has to give at this point. Otherwise, the players may have said whatever to convince the owner to say, look, this definitely wasn't working out, and this was the wrong choice.
Yeah. It will be interesting to see how everything shapes up. Personally, I'm looking forward to the playoffs. I am a little. I tell you, being in the DMV, listening to all the Redskins hoopla, this kind of reminds me. It reminds me of 2012 all over again. Only this time is this a different quarterback doing the same thing, and how the team is just the buzz. And
I'm gonna have to. I'm sorry, and I know you're down there and everything, but I have to say that I would not be surprised if the Redskins move on.
Green Bay sucks. Green Bay is not the same Green Bay.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
They will beat Green Bay, but I don't see them making it to the NFC Championship game.
Think about the last 3 games that they played: the Eagles, Cowboys, and Giants. None of them, outside of the Cowboys, their defense is garbage, and the Cowboys is pretty much just laid down and said, "The hell with it." They didn't care. I mean, that's just the way I look at it. Because when they had to play a solid defense against Carolina, they couldn't do nothing.
No, I think the Redskins are flawed, and I'm still not a believer in Kirk Cousins. I mean, like I said, Green Bay is even more flawed right now. I mean, you saw how they looked against Arizona Cardinals. They damn near killed Rodgers out there. I'm glad they pulled him out in the fourth quarter. I thought they should have pulled him out at the beginning of the third quarter and sat his butt down for the rest of the game. But I think they're probably going to beat. I would put money on them beating the Packers.
Yeah, out of the 4 games that's playing this weekend, I see that happening more than anything.
I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I think Kirk Cousins is a pretty good quarterback. I thought he was really good when he was at Michigan State, and he's turning out to be a very nice quarterback. But the Redskins' defense ain't Arizona's defense.
But Arizona surprised me. What the heck happened with them against the Seahawks? Seahawks destroyed them.
Yeah, but the Seahawks, Arizona's defense ain't the Seahawks defense. I don't know what it is. Seahawks defense is just playing lights out all of a sudden.
Hey,
The Seahawks defense like it used to be.
Wait. Now, could it have been because of the positioning of if they were to win against the Seahawks, would they meet them again in before? Is it? I'm just thinking. It could have been positioning themselves to be in the playoffs to the point where they don't have to face the Seahawks to the last minute.
You mean as far as the seeding is concerned? Because Arizona won the West, and Seattle, I think, is the 5 seed. Yeah,
something like that. Yeah, but don't the top it's not. I think isn't it because of the seeding? Like whoever wins, it's because it's doesn't matter because of the seeding of where they place, of who they face.
I think the 1 seed plays the lower seed of the winner. I think the 1 seed plays whoever is the lowest seed left between the 2 games, or the 2 wild card games, and then the second place team plays the lower seeded of the second lowest seeded. If that makes sense. I think that's how I understood it when I was reading it the other day.
Okay.
Yeah. So if the Seahawks win, they'll play Carolina, and if the Redskins win, they'll get Arizona. But if the Seattle loses, then it's all null and void.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. So I'm thinking like if the Seahawks win, which they're banking on, if they do win, then they won't meet them at the next round. They'll meet them where like at the NFC Championship game. So that's why I was saying the positioning, where that. That's just I'm just a conspiracy theorist, so don't quote me on that. I'm a conspiracy theorist.
They're going to have to bump into him anyway.
Right. Either way, they're going to have to play him.
But if they make it, but I think they rather would play the Seahawks in the NFC Championship game than the second round of the playoffs.
I agree.
Yeah.
Conspiracy theorist right here. Conspiracy theorist. but we'll talk more about. All right, real quick. Before we let you go, because I know we're way overdue from what we were talking about. Real quick. Chiefs at Texans is the early game. Who do you have on Saturday?
I might have to go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think I have to second that pick.
Okay. Yeah, I make it unanimous because of Houston's offense, lack thereof. Okay. The next game after that will be Steelers at the Cincinnati Bengals. Who do you have?
Yikes.
Dalton is not playing this week, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, but Big Ben against pretty decent defenses, he tends to not play I'm going to go with the Steelers just because, but I had a strange feeling it's going to tell me that Cincinnati is probably going to get that first first playoff win for their coach that he's been lacking for so many years.
You know what? I'm going to. I don't know. I maybe I need to flip a coin because I was saying I'm gonna go with the Bengals, but the Bengals always seem to, shoot themselves in the foot in the first round. But Pittsburgh is playing kind of high. I'm gonna go with Pitt.
I'll just wait. Ace, you said you were going with Pitt too?
I want to say Pitt will win, but I also have a feeling that Cincinnati. But AJ McCarron's gonna have to play like a really strong game, and I don't know if the stage is too big or he's gonna look at this as just what I used to do at Alabama, so this is nothing new to me. It's just a matter of what the mindset of AJ McCarron will be, because he has great receivers, great running. He just has to play within the system, and Cincinnati has a very good chance.
So, are you picking Cincinnati or Pittsburgh?
Pick, man.
Pick 'em. You could, as I listen to Sports Radio now, it's a pick 'em game. But if I had to put $1 down to see who would win, my gut wants to tell me the Steelers. But I kind of think that Cincinnati has a pretty good shot too.
Again. So wait, are you putting your dollar down on Pittsburgh?
Yes, I am. Yes,
Okay. All right. Thank you. I am going to also pick Pittsburgh as well to make it unanimous, but it'll be funny to see if Cincinnati does win. It'll be the first playoff win where Andy Dalton is not even mentioned, couldn't do nothing about it.
Right.
So it would be very funny if they do win. But I agree it is a pickup game, but I would choose Pittsburgh at this point. Sunday you have at 1:05 Seahawks at Minnesota.
Ooh, man. Your boy Russell Wilson and Curse. What's the wide receiver's name? Whatever number 15 is. Them jokers been balling. The defense looked like it finally showed up. So, but Minnesota, Teddy Bridgewater, he's been holding his own. So I'm still gonna have to go with Seattle.
Okay. What about you, girl?
You know what? I'm gonna go with the Vikings for an upset. Even though they are the third seed, I'm gonna go with Minnesota Vikings.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't expecting that.
I think the Vikings might catch Seattle slipping because they might be looking at Carolina too soon.
Nah.
I'm gonna go off the grain. I'm gonna go with the upset. I'm gonna go with Minnesota.
I respect you for going off, but I'm going to disagree with you and say that Seattle is going to obliterate. I mean, Minnesota has a great run. Don't get me wrong about Adrian Peterson, but I think Seattle is too motivated to get back to the Super Bowl not to mess this up. So I got Seattle taking the Vikings. So that's 2-1. Also, and of course, the late game is the Packers and the Redskins.
You know what? I'm gonna be that dude. I'm saying Green Bay.
Okay.
Your people out there ain't gonna like you. You know that, right?
Hey! I just live here, man. I got no love for the Redskins whatsoever. None.
Hey, you can give a middle finger for me too as well while you're down there.
None whatsoever.
However, if I had to put money on this one, Green Bay has not been playing good down the stretch. I mean, they backed into the playoffs big time. So, Redskins have been not the hottest team, but playing fairly good. I'm gonna have to go with the Redskins, even though.
Yeah, but you gotta look at the last three teams that these jokers played.
I do, but you also have to look at how Green Bay was playing, and they were playing more shittier than the Redskins were playing more shittier teams. So.
Yeah, this is Aaron Rodgers' time to shine, though.
I'm not even gonna sugarcoat this. I'm picking the Redskins at this point. The Redskins definitely have if this was in reverse, where it was Green Bay, if it was at Green Bay, then I would feel differently and probably pick the Packers. But I think the Redskins will hold it down at their home, at home. And I just don't believe in the offensive line of Green Bay right now. And if they don't, I just don't see them getting their act together in time to get it squared away. So I really do believe that the Redskins will beat them. And I don't think it's going to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this is not a close game.
Wow. Not even close.
Not even close. But that means I'm putting my faith in Kirk Cousins, so he better deliver. Otherwise, next week I'm going to really be ripping on him.
Don't get me wrong. Cousins put up 4,000 yards.
Yeah, no, I'm saying this is his chance to show what he could do in the playoffs. So I don't want to hear, what he does in the regular season anymore. I want to see what he does in the playoffs, and this is his opportunity to do it. I mean, of course, Rodgers has done it time and time again. So there's no, I'm not, I just don't. I believe. I put it like this. I don't believe it's more of me not believing in the Packers' offensive line, if anything else. So that's why I'm choosing the Redskins.
Gotcha. All right, gentlemen, folks. I need to roll.
Yeah, well, I was about to shut things down anyway because I have to roll as well. So let me do this real quick. Thanks for everybody for catching on for listening to Guys Talking Sports. You can catch us on Google Hangouts. You can catch us on. Well, before I do that, Earl, Ace, tell them where they can reach you at.
Cat Daddy 1963 on that thing called Twitter. Tweet me, baby.
You can hit me up on the gram, JEROSS7, and the same handle if you want to follow me at Twitter, and I am passively on Facebook as well.
And you also can hit me up on Twitter and on Instagram at I am Al Quarles. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for checking us out. Catch us on Google Hangouts. Catch us on YouTube. Catch us on iTunes now. You can subscribe and check us out on iTunes. For those who want the links, hit me up. I could definitely send out the links to you guys. But again, I want to thank everybody for checking out Guys Talking Sports. And catch us next week when we probably continue more talk about the NFL playoffs and everything else related to sports. But until then, take care. And real talk, real sports.